on this rap-ish. I ain't even broke a sweat, homie, this practice. Pondering my next move, staring at my track list. Hope I ain't miss my window. Praying like a Baptist, Seattle's own. Tired of this Game of Thrones. They made a list of the best rappers, and guess who wasn't on? While the disrespect continues, I'm steady packing these venues. Guess if you ain't at the table, you on the menu. And I'm that spitter, baby. They don't want you to see, but everybody's south of Capitol Hill's rocking with me. Boys smoke the trays and ponder getting their life together. I'm comfortable with my role, so I'm like, whatever. Me? I ain't got a job, but I work hard. And you don't work hard, but you got a job. The irony is I'm judged while you feel the applause. I'm slept on, that's why I had to set this alarm. My dudes is armed, I'm armed with this arm charm. Body banging like she got that cream from Barry Bonds. Yeah.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
That Dre season is here, a real hitter with a mic, I'm everything that they fear. With that hood ain't the same, I was all on their ass, I'm level-headed. So yo, my dudes love when I spaz, and I'm so over Seattle's passive-aggressive attitude. They don't call you back, what they really saying is F you. While I'm from the same place, I move at a different pace. I prefer if you just said it to my face, damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it
I hate
for
these average dudes with they average spit, writing average rhymes, knocking average chicks. The closer I get, I can feel the people starting to shift. I'm loyal to a fault, and everybody can't come with. Rap's a rich man's game, I'm only playing with change. They bang models and singers, I'm knocking my own flame, I'm different. The crowd, I move with the chosen few. Black thoughts, I could be the front man for the roots. No diamonds and gold, I'm on my sticks and stones. If we can see your panty line, you should have on a thong. My team is strong, through this fire we forged a bond. And they already know what it is when I get on. To the hearse, party like it's December 31st. When I'm on my deathbed, I probably cracking my nurse. You ain't got the bars to compete, I'm a verbal athlete. Deflating these boys so they say that I cheat. Damn, I did it.
I did it for the city, I did it for the love, I did it for the people, I did it for us.
Yeah. I should probably start by apologizing for the long wait, man. You know, I know I be tripping. But I'm not just a rapper, I'm an artist. And, you know, my creative process is a little bit different than most. Nonetheless, I want to welcome everybody out to the Dre's Experience. I got TCF in the building. My whole camp's here with me. I got the band in here laying this cool-ass vibe. And I'm Seattle's own. Let's get into it.
Grand Rising and good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday, wanting to extend a very happy Wednesday to all of you out there. We have an amazing show, and I can't wait to get into it. Some amazing guests. Got to do this with my guy, co-host with the most, Big O. What up, Big O?
Good morning, Trey Holiday.
Hey,
how are you?
Good morning, my friend. I'm doing well. How are you?
Yeah, been getting lots of nice comments on those glasses.
Yeah, right on. I'm all about it.
Yeah, no, they're already coming through. Yeah, we got a packed show today. We have Mike Davis from the South Seattle Emerald, and of course, Clapback Culture is going to be joining us here at the first segment, and then we're going to be coming back and we're going to be talking to Gabe Galanda. And real interesting story going on. The Nooksack Reservation is up about 2-hour drive from here on the foothills of the Cascade River, and the Nooksack River right there is, man, it's the issue of tribal disenrollment, something I didn't even know existed, to be honest with you. And it's a sticky situation up there at the Nooksack. And we're going to talk to Gabe. This story, by the way, the small Nooksack lands, I was corrected, or I said, don't call it no reservation, man. The Nooksack lands there is about 2,000 members there. But this story was on the front page of the New York Times a few days ago. So it's a big story there. So Gabe's going to fill us in. And we're going to end the show with one of my favorite interns of all time, Ike on the mic. Ike Everard. He's back in town for a few more days before he heads back down to Arizona State University, where he's making us all proud. We're going to talk to Ike Everard.
Yeah, what an amazing packed show. Some guests. I'm telling you, I am so ready for these discussions. And you guys, strap on your seatbelts. It's about to be a good one.
Right. And before I get here and before I tell everybody to share the stream and everything else, I wanted to take a second here and acknowledge something. Um, my mama said, the Buddha said, my mama always got something, but it's that joy follows sorrow and sorrow follows joy. And, yesterday was my mom's birthday, so it was a whole lot of joy. And it was today, 17 years ago, that my oldest brother, Harm, passed away here. And he passed away of HIV AIDS. And I'm always intentional, not to focus on how he died. It's really more about how we live, but I'm always intentional to want to be able to say that and look in the camera and say that, and to be a part of breaking down the stigma around HIV AIDS, not only in our community, but beyond. My brother was fantastic. And 17 years later, man, I still feel the loss. And somebody asked me last year, maybe this time, like, oh, do you get over it or something like that? And I was like, it's kind of comforting that I feel this way because I feel like he never left me. And it was a tough time, in the 80s when Harm came out. He wasn't accepted in the Central District because he was gay. He wasn't accepted on Capitol Hill because he was Black. It was a real different space. And so, big bro, wherever you at, I hope that we're making you proud. That being said, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Morning Update Show. Want to remind you that right now is the perfect time for you to tag and share the stream. Go ahead and tag and share the stream with people who you feel would appreciate culturally relevant news and information emanating from right here in the Emerald City. Want to give a big shout out to our partners over at the South Seattle Emerald and also KBCS 91.3 over at Bellevue College. Want to remind everybody you can listen to the Morning Update Show anywhere that you listen to your favorite podcast. Salmon's got a link over there for SoundCloud. There it is, but you can also go to Google, Spotify, or iTunes and just type in Converge Media Network. Important information here, especially around COVID and the Omicron and some of everything else. We're putting a link in the comments if you want to get vaccinated, need a booster shot, if you need testing, or if you're vaccine hesitant, you got questions or concerns, we got a link right there in the comments from our friends over at Public Health Seattle King County. You can click on that and get information. It's a lot of people just want a lot of information. Also testing. There's a lot of testing information there as well.
Yeah, a lot of testing sites are popping up and vaccination clinics are popping up. And this is one of those things where we're seeing a multitude of things happening right now because this is our cold and flu season as it is. And it has been spiked now with COVID, with these variants. So please, click on that link if you guys are looking for information, looking for testing sites or vaccination sites that are close to you. And still an opportunity, if you are hesitant to get out there, they will also come to your home in some cases. So look up that link and really, find the information that you need that's going to be beneficial to you to keep you and your family safe.
Yeah, no, that's what's up. All right, now, I made a handcrafted motion graphic for this guy. There it is. Boom, that's the stomp, man. We've got Mike Davis from the South Seattle Emerald and Clapback Culture in the green room. Salman, go ahead and bring Mike out. What's up, Mike?
Hey, Mike.
Oh, we can't hear you. You gotta turn on your microphone, man.
Oh, I didn't want to mess it up, man. Hey, y'all looking real fly today, man. Converge is starting the new year off real good.
You get us on the wide. We'll dap it up on that. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, you know what, Mike? You're looking dapper over there, my guy. You got your camera nice and set up with the white background. I see you popping.
Yes, with and I got a rap.
I got a rap. Yeah. He's rapping on it too. All right, Mike Davis. So we'll get into it with you here for a few questions. I know we only got you here for a few minutes. Man, first of all, South Seattle Emerald, it's all in the name. South Seattle and beyond, of course, man. What's cracking? What's going on? What's on the radar over there at the Emerald?
Man, I got a big one on the radar right now, and you hit the nail on the head when you say South Seattle and south of Seattle. I'm working on a big story right now with Filthy Rags Outreach. They're an organization that started in the prison system, and they're doing a lot of work to do gun prevention on the outside, as well as providing services to guys getting out of prison, like housing. Speaking with these gentlemen, I learned a lot about how lack of housing can be used to keep people from actually being released when their sentences is over. So they're doing a lot of stuff with Filthy Rags to prevent violence and to provide services to our men behind bars. So shout out to them. Y'all keep your eyes open. Pretty soon that story is going to drop.
Well, you know what? This is really interesting, Mike. And, I mean, when we talk about a lot of these issues involving, those who are incarcerated, it gets us back to the justice system and to policing. And I just got to ask, I mean, there's some controversy, maybe some dialogue happening around Councilmember Herbold and, this idea of defunding. Do you guys know more about that?
I mean, we got our eye on it. And, there's a lot of whispers right now. We're just going to have to see how it plays out. I mean, it's the top of the year. We got a lot of new council members that just got sworn in. We got a new mayor. Our mayor has had a lot of opinions about policing, but as you all know, Bruce Harrell is against defunding. So it's going to be another interesting ride to see how everything plays out with mayor and council and where policing goes in our city this next year.
All right. Did you catch Mayor Harrell's presser yesterday?
I did not.
All right. One thing you might have missed. I only bring this up because it's you, bruv. Mm-hmm. The first question went to Converge.
Word.
Yeah, I was, man, shocked right us too. We were sitting there watching live. It was able at the same time as the show, so we sent an email over there. And man, first question, and I'm going to throw this question out to you, and it's just, however you want to answer it. This is the same question I asked Mayor Harrell yesterday on email, was that the Mayor Harrell got a lot of support from Seattle's Black community, and who those same people voted for way more liberal candidates in other races, right? But for mayor, they voted for Harrell, kind of with an expectation that Harrell might be able to deliver what previous mayors a lot of times have not been able to do, which is directly impact Black people and in a sustainable way. And I asked Harrell, like, okay, well, what are we going to do about the income gap? And what are we going to do about the decline in home ownership, which is generational wealth? And what are we going to do about the educational gap? He gave a pretty lengthy answer, but you know what I'm saying? As far as the Black community goes, man, what do you think on the horizon for the Harrell administration?
That's a great question. So leading up to the campaign, I actually sat down with Mayor Harrell like 3 times to talk. And every time I asked him, South Seattle, I asked CD. He's from the CD. I'm asking about Black folks. I did KUOW year in review. He was there. Again, I asked him, South Seattle, gun violence. To address your question, I think out of everyone that campaigned, everyone that ran for mayor, I do believe that as far as Black businesses are concerned, Bruce Harrell was the way to go. And if you remember, he gets a lot of flack for his time as council president, but what a lot of folks remember him for when he was council president was the fact that he used Black businesses in ancillary capacities every chance he got. So if there was an event at town hall that he was responsible for, he was going to call a Black caterer. If he needed security, he was going to go to a Black owned company. Like whatever he needed done, even if it was like towards bigger businesses, he always found a way to make sure that Black businesses were included. And when he left city council, it didn't look the same way anymore. So from a business standpoint, I think that Black businesses will do well under the Harrell administration because they're going to be at the forefront. Now, as far as, a lot of other issues, I think that there are a lot of people that live in Seattle that are not from Seattle who would get upset when Mayor Harrell would always throw the fact out there that he's from Seattle. But when I hear that, what I see is situations like when we had the shooting at the CD Panthers football game, and there was a call to action, and all of these folks who wanted all of these seats were all called to come out, and who showed up? I believe it was Bruce Harrell and Sarah Nelson, if I remember correctly, but Bruce specifically, because, you know, he coached Little League football here. He played Little League football here. So he has a connection to these communities where I do believe that he cares about our community in a way that some implants that don't really understand the dynamics of our city do. And I think that a lot of people in our community who may not have access to someone like Lorena Gonzalez, a lot of folks in this community know somebody that knows somebody. You could pick up a phone and get one of the heralds on the phone to actually have somebody hear about something that matters to us in the CD, in the South End. So I'm optimistic about the Herald administration, to be honest. So we'll see how it goes.
You know what, Mike? I think you're right about this. And I think that there's a lot of discourse happening right now where people are like, you know, man, hey, with any new administration or changing an administration, you kind of got to give them a chance to make the difference that they said that they would seek to do on the campaign trail. And I want to go back to the first story, even that you were talking about. I think this is really important. We've been talking about community organizations that are looking to disrupt this, you know, unfortunate spike in gun violence that we see in our communities. And so I'm glad that you're doing a deep dive on this organization, how they're working on the inside and outside of prison to really make an impact. What are some of the other stories that South Seattle Emerald has going on right now?
You know, the Emerald always has a bunch of stuff going on, but I really want to highlight the fact that you mentioned the conversations around Herbold, and you're mentioning, you know, what are we going to do about the police? I think the Emerald is a great place for folks to have those conversations. I think that, you know, with the Emerald having so many BIPOC writers and this BIPOC focus, I think we are a great place for you to follow up on policing and the changes that are going to happen in policing with the changes to council, the changes to the mayor's office. So that's the thing that I think people should look forward to.
I'll say this is a South Seattle Emerald. You know, Mike is Fam Bam, but the South Seattle Emerald is home of that bulldog named Carolyn Bick. Like, you know what I'm saying? 100%. Carolyn Bick has her home as the South Seattle Emerald. Don't play. That's one of the best investigative reporters in our city.
She's going to be on top of it from that perspective, and I'll definitely be jumping in with some opinions and giving some perspectives. But you're absolutely right. They are going to be on top of it.
Well, my last question really for you, it goes back to, you know, how Converge is also a home for you. And, you know, you and Julia Jesse have really made clapback culture something that is becoming a real cult favorite, I almost say. Like, people, you guys got your entire audience. People tune in. How has it been for you to be working with Jules and really being able to express your opinions in the topics that you guys also breach on clapback?
Well, I mean, a lot of credit, honestly, got to go to work with Julia, work with me. He thought that putting us together could work. And I mean, we have really good chemistry. People sometimes don't even believe that we didn't know each other before we started working together. But, you know, put that together and the sparks flew. We have fun. That's really what it comes down to on Clapback. We have fun. We talk about issues. I mean, these are issues that affect everybody, but these are issues sometimes that we find interesting, or these are issues that make us mad, and we need a place where we could come vent and let it out. And the beautiful part about it is that, you know, we have the audience and they come in and they get to comment. And a lot of times, you know, it's like that back and forth conversation. So it's not just us standing on a soapbox pointing fingers. It's an open dialogue between us and community, and we're breaking down a lot of these issues that affect us all, and it's fun.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys definitely have the energy popping off with it. I know tomorrow is the approaching the literally the year anniversary of this insurrection, you know, January 6th. What can people expect on Clapback tomorrow?
Well, of course, you know, we're going to talk about the January 6th insurrection. When it happened, Julia and I were all over it. So we're going to cover that from every angle that you can imagine, with that being the anniversary. But there are so many other stories that are jumping off that we're going to have to talk about too. You know, we're going to have to talk about the CDC. They're going back and forth with these COVID guidelines. It's feeling like big business is dictating how we're handling COVID at this point. That's crazy. We're going to talk sports. My guy Antonio Brown got naked and quit his job in the third quarter of a game. Never seen anything like that before. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about this Ghislaine Maxwell trial. We're going to talk about Officer Kim Potter. I mean, we got a full show jam-packed with topics. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a roller coaster. So tomorrow, 7 p.m., tune in. Come kick it with us.
Oh my gosh, Mike. That's a bunch of stuff.
Mike Davis, man. Know you're busy, man. Appreciate you taking time this morning and can't wait to check you out tomorrow on Clapback Culture.
Perfect. Happy New Year, y'all.
Happy New Year, Mike.
Yo.
Oh my God.
Mike stay on top of it, huh?
No, they do. And this is why, people tune in to Clapback. This is why people actually read the South Seattle Emerald. I love that we have people like Mike Davis in our city that are really dedicated to getting these stories out.
All right, good stuff. Okay, so I've got another handcrafted motion graphic over here. There it is. Gabe, Galanda. Man, we're going to be talking about what's going on up there on the Nooksack lands, the disenrollment, everything else. I've got a feeling we're going to learn a lot here. I'm trying to get up to speed. It's one thing when people are talking about City Hall or SPD or the city council or the mayor. Like, yeah, I got a pretty good understanding of around that. But, man, it's an uncharted space, so we want to be able to educate our audience of what's happening. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, we're going to be talking to Gabe Galanda. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
Hey guys, Besa Gordon here, and before heading to Belize, Trey Holiday and I had to make sure we linked up with our good friends over at Market Street Shoes to, of course, grab a few things for the trip. From bags to socks, shoes, sunglasses, earrings, and more. Before going on any trip, make sure you stop at Market Street Shoes. Trust me, you'll find just what you need to make your trip not only enjoyable, but fashionable.
We invite you to be our guest at Disney's Beauty and the Beast. It's a tale as old as time in a brand new production by the Fifth Avenue Theater. Return to the magic of live theater with one of the most enchanting musicals of all time. Disney's Beauty and the Beast at the Fifth, January 12th to February 6th. Tickets at fifthavenue.org.
That's Seattle news, views, and brews tonight, 7 o'clock. Brian Callanan from the Seattle Channel. And guess what? Kevin Schofield, man, he retired last year, been replaced by David Croman of the Seattle Times. So, look forward to a very interesting show. Brian Callanan, David Croman, 7 o'clock tonight. Seattle news, views, and brews. Right now, join on the set live, Gabe Galanda, Indigenous rights lawyer. How are you?
Wonderful, Amari. I'm stoked to be here with you this morning.
Yeah,
good to see you.
Welcome to the Morning Update Show.
Yeah, we're here, and as they say, it's a good day to be Indigenous, especially the day after yesterday, where, as you know, the city council elected the first Indigenous president in its history, and our brother Bruce Harrell, which not a lot of people know, also happens to be of Indigenous ancestry by way of Choctaw Indian country. So we have 2 Indigenous leaders at the helm of our city, which of course is named after an Indigenous chief.
Yeah, I saw that yesterday. It was interesting because I interviewed Councilmember Juarez last month. And actually, before you get out of here, I want to follow up with you on missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. But I interviewed Councilmember Juarez, and at that time, she said that she was pursuing the city council presidency. And, that's kind of one of those weird parliamentary things that the public isn't too privy to. It's like some kind of caucus or whatever. But saw there yesterday that she won and won unanimously.
Yeah, and I think what was exciting about her campaign, if you would, is it was supported by 13 indigenous nations in Western Washington, 6 urban indigenous organizations, and then Black and brown community leaders from throughout the city. So it was Black and brown people in Seattle, King County, and Western Washington that helped make history.
Right. Well, I mean, we can't sit here and say that we want to center the voice around Black indigenous people. I mean, indigenous person who's representing or at least supported by a lot of indigenous nations. So listen, I reached out to you because I was following all this stuff and talking about disenrollment. And finally, you see it enough times, it really works. If you mention something enough times, you're like, what is this? And I sent you a message and I'm like, yo, what is this disenrollment? And you're like, yo, it's kind of like if you're part of, I'll say tribe or nation, don't use all the right terms, but you're a part of a nation, a sovereign nation, one of the, and basically they kick you out. You're no longer, maybe you can give a better explanation of what disenrollment is, and then we can talk about what's going on up in Nooksack.
Disenrollment is a situation, I would not even call it a process as a lawyer. It is a situation whereby people whose birthright to be indigenous, meaning a right they have recognized since their birth or since they could remember, is being stolen from them by politicians that have been elected to lead their nation or their tribe or their community. And you have, unfortunately, in the era of a $28 billion annual Indian gaming industry and lots of other money floating around Indian country that has never historically existed in Indian country, you now have a phenomenon whereby these politicians will get elected to run a tribe, and then they will want to hold on to all the goodies and all the monies of the tribe and concentrate them within their political base so that they stay in power and their base stays fat and happy. And they are willing to then get rid of large groups of their relatives who they consider adversaries or enemies.
All right. So a few things there. Now, forgive my ignorance, right? But wouldn't it be that if when you're talking about lineage and bloodlines, I don't know a lot. I'm sorry, Dad, because I know you know everything and I should be paying more attention. But isn't something like that to be determined through more of like a cultural process than a political process?
Historically, yes. So before 1492 or 1776, indigenous societies in the land we now call the United States used to recognize each other based on a principle called kinship. And it basically meant if you were born unto your mom, dad, clan, society, homelands, you belonged there. And it was that simple. Along comes the United States and colonial forces, and starting in the late 1700s and early 1800s, to belong to a now called indigenous nation or tribal nation, that's the words of the colonizer, you needed to be on a list or a census or a roll. Fast forward 200 and some odd years later to 2022, there is now great acrimony and controversy about who is on the list and who should be kept on the list or who should be taken off the list. When historically speaking, as a matter of kinship, if you were born there, you belonged there. Biologically, residentially, cosmologically. This whole notion of membership and roles or disenrollment or blood quantum is all colonial stuff.
Granted, but this didn't seem to be that big of maybe a deal. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't operate in Indian country or native indigenous country as much as I should. I'm waiting for more invitations.
Yeah.
But maybe this wasn't that big of an issue before gaming and before these different revenue streams came onto these native lands.
You're correct. So here's a fact for you. 10,000 indigenous citizens have been disenrolled by the politicians of over 90 tribes in this country, which is 15% of the federally recognized tribes in this country. Those are some big numbers. Those numbers did not exist before 1988, when Congress passed the Indian Gaming Regulatory Act and allowed tribes, or essentially tribes, reserve the right to self-regulate gaming. And now, several years later, it's a $28 billion industry. And under that federal law passed by Congress, the proceeds of the gaming enterprise can be distributed to tribal members on what's called a per capita basis. Well, the sick math is if you're a tribe of 2,000 and you're getting $500 a month in per cap, as it's called, and a politician says, well, let's get rid of 1,000 of our relatives. I will promise the remaining $1,000 a month. That politician then carries out his or her wishes, and he has the support of the remaining 1,000 to do that. That's what's up.
I'll be honest with you, man. That just don't sound right. But two, that's how it's really going down.
Yeah.
So is this the issue up there in Nooksack?
Not exactly. Rather than 1,000, it's 300. They don't have per capita checks from the casino that they operate, but they do have a lot of goodies. In fact, this whole thing started in December of 2012 when a father tried to get his young children enrolled in December. It kind of serves as an open enrollment season because they gave out $250 per member for Christmas. And then in the summer, they gave out another $250 per kid for back to school. Those monies, those $250 checks, were what gave rise to this whole thing. 10 years later, they're now fighting not just about those school supplies and that Christmas money, but jobs, land, homes, salaries to be on the tribal council. It's all about material wealth.
All right. So here's the thing. Like, with all due respect, the Nooksack, when you look on a map, bro, it's much smaller in size, in area, in population, and definitely in revenue when compared to the Tulalip's, when compared to the Muckleshoots, compared to the Puyallups. Why is it that, and that's big money. You go Emerald Queen Casino, I mean, it's big money. Very big and big infrastructure, and up there in Tulalip, it's Walmart up there and everything else. You're talking about Nooksack. It's very small, it's very rural, and even though they have a casino there, I mean, it's not pumping out a lot of money. So how is it that all this disenrollment is happening there at Nooksack with very little revenue coming through, and you have these big entities, like I said, like the Tulalips and the Puyallups and the Muckleshoots, and we're not hearing about disenrollment?
It's a good question. This is about hatred, vendetta, political power, and greed. The current group of politicians that are running the tribe and have run it since 2012 got themselves elected to office, and they realized that if 300 members who are my clients exercise their voting rights, as they had historically done, they exercised them again, say in 2016 or 18 or 20, that those people would no longer be in power and control all of the goodies. So they simply exercised a concerted effort starting in 2012 to get rid of my people because they did not want them coming back to the ballot box. That's what it's about.
Man, this seems like, I mean, it's almost like a movie plot, to be honest with you. It's like, you know, it's something that you see, you're like, man, let's collude, let's kick these guys out, let's do, I mean, this is actually, what I've been following on the news is there's the eviction. So it's more than like, just like, hey, you know, you're not entitled to this revenue or this share of whatever. They're actually evicting people, right? And the evictions, the only thing that stopped the evictions was the snow.
So my clients are the so-called Nooksack 306. They appeared on a list in 2012 of 306 relatives who are going to be disenrolled. 63 of them still live at Nooksack, almost a decade after this thing started. And you can imagine the attrition this would take on a family of 300 when you're being persecuted day in and day out. Your kids don't get a backpack. Your family doesn't get a Christmas check. You've been fired from your jobs. Well, yeah, now to finish the job, these politicians are trying to take my folks 21 homes. These are HUD homes funded by the federal government through the tribe that my folks have been living in for as many as 25 years. And under federal lease to own arrangements or home buyers arrangements, they own the home. Now they are on tribal dirt. They don't own the dirt like we might if we have a deed to our home, but they own the actual structure thanks to a federal subsidy. They are now being threatened of having those homes taken and them evicted from those homes in the dead of winter during a pandemic amidst a variant surge without due process of law. And they won't even let me represent them without even the right to a lawyer. That's how atrocious this is.
Yeah, no, this is real interesting. I mean, when you talk about one might tend to think when you're talking about this is driven by more than just money. It might be driven by hatred or emotion or whatever, because evicting anybody in the middle of the winter is cold, bro.
Yeah. Well, here's a storyline for your script. The current chairman of the tribe, Ross Klein, who's the man that told the New York Times, in the face of 5 requests from the federal government to please stop the eviction so we can figure out if civil rights violations are occurring. That comes from the Department of Interior and HUD, which has funded the homes. He says, no, we're going to proceed without concern for due process, without concern for civil rights violation, without concern for the United States. And get this, you know what happened to that man in 2000? He pled guilty in the United States District Court in downtown Seattle for embezzling HUD housing monies from the Nooksack tribe. We are talking about a criminal enterprise.
Yeah, but all of that to this, not pushing it to the side. No concern for you. I mean, yeah, no concern for HUD, no concern for Bureau of Indian Affairs, no concern for humanity. Dog, to evict somebody in the middle of the winter, putting on. So West, actually, we got an overlay here. Can you put this up here, someone? This was the New York Times, and I mean a big story there. The New York Times. This is now a national story, and we have the link. We'll go ahead and put the link in the comments to this. What kind of feedback are you getting here across Western Washington, across our state, and then also you can bring that down, someone, and also nationally now, because this is now a national story.
Well, I first want to thank Mike Baker, who runs the Seattle Bureau of the New York Times, lives out in West Seattle, for spotlighting this. Him and his photographer went up there in Whatcom County right around Christmas. There was snow all over the place, icy roads. He went up there and spent a Tuesday with my folks for an entire day. Was in their homes, was out there while they were drumming, was out there waiting for the tribal cops to show up with eviction papers. So I just want to give him thanks for putting that on the front page of Monday's New York Times. The response has been overwhelming. And the response almost to a person, whether you're Indigenous or non-Indigenous, black or white, is the one you just made. How could this possibly be happening? What about the humanity? How could human rights violations, and I'm talking simply the right to live in a home with security and livelihood intact, how could that fundamental, universal human right owed to us under any international law or domestic law be threatened in these 21 homes in these circumstances? People cannot comprehend it.
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. I mean, this is what piqued my attention was I kept thinking to myself, I was looking at the story and following along on different platforms, and they kept saying that these people were trying to be served or actually evicted in the middle of the, and I'm just thinking about, right here in the city of Seattle, unless anything has changed, and I hope that it hasn't over there at Seattle Public Utilities and City Light, that in the city of Seattle, in these kind of conditions here, and if you can't pay your bill, you call City Light, be like, man, I got my kids, my babies here. I can't pay this bill right now. The city government has always shown enough heart to be like, we ain't gonna turn off your power. We're not gonna turn off your water in the middle of these extreme conditions. And so that's why it's just mind-boggling to me that in the dead of winter, they'll go to remove these people.
And you know what's even worse than that? They are sending out armed, badged police officers to serve my folks, some of whom are as old as 80 or 85. Some are as young as in their 30s with young families, with eviction papers. When I have said, I will accept the papers. However, stay away from my folks. Email them to me, fax them to me, scan them to me, send them down here and I'll take them. They are being so cruel and so inhumane that they are sending armed badge cops out repeatedly to my folks on the weekend at night to intimidate them at their doorsteps with being evicted.
So I'll be honest with you, when looking at this in the New York Times and following this along, one of the things that people always say is sovereign rights. It's almost like at this point, they're airing the dirty laundry to a whole nation now, and two, of like what's going on, and two, this federal government that for as long as I can remember as a small kid is like, hey, you guys let us do our thing. You know what I'm saying? Stay away from us. But right now, its outreach to the federal government and all these different agencies there to step in and make something happen. Why that shift?
Well, the United States, for as long as it has been the United States, under the Constitution, Supreme Court cases, has a trust obligation to protect the health and welfare of indigenous peoples on tribal lands. So I have been telling the United States government now for 10 years, under law, you have a moral trust responsibility to prevent the violation of human rights on indigenous lands, in particular on Nooksack indigenous lands. But in general, the United States increasingly takes a hands-off approach to that, saying the tribes are sovereign. They are self-determinative. It is not our business. Now, historically, it has always been the federal government's business. But in modern times, they try to take a hands-off approach. And so the dilemma we are now in is when tribal sovereignty or self-determination is being used to commit atrocious human rights violations, where does sovereignty stop and start? Where's the human rights protection? Can you really have a segment of our society who are indigenous peoples who have no Bill of Rights protection on their own lands? And think about that. Indigenous peoples on their own lands are the only citizens or residents of this country that do not enjoy protection under the Bill of Rights. First Amendment, Fourth Amendment, Fifth Amendment, 10th Amendment doesn't apply. That's the situation we're in, and the United States needs to deal with it.
Man, so what's next? I mean, what you said this is a 10-year fight that you've been in here. What's next, though? I mean, what are some of the next steps you guys are taking? What are some of the things that the Nooksack are doing up there? I mean, what's the next phase of this?
Well, what I would do in a normal democracy, in a normal government, in a normal society, is I would go to any court of law and I would get an injunction for the violation of due process, property rights, the taking of land without just compensation, the violation of a right to a lawyer. But because this group of politicians has incinerated their tribal court and won't let me practice there, or any other lawyer who is adverse to the tribe, I can't do that. So my only play is right here in the court of public opinion and diplomatically to the United States government, and believe it or not, to the United Nations. So I've called upon the United Nations to tell the White House, to tell HUD to stop the evictions. I have called upon the Department of Interior and HUD to stop the evictions. They've written 5 requests, said pause the evictions. Now I'm asking the president, this administration, who believes they are bastions of human rights protection, to stop these evictions. You cannot have evictions like this occurring in America in 2022, especially after the last 2 summers we've all lived through.
Wow. I've definitely learned a lot. You know, I didn't realize it was that bad, to be honest with you. And before I shift up here, because I got one more question, how can people, if they want to follow along what's going on or be supportive, anything, why don't you tell them what they could be doing?
Sure. So my clients have formed a GoFundMe. They're trying to raise $63,000, $1,000 for all 63 relatives to be used however they can to keep themselves in house and home. That's on GoFundMe. You can follow them on Twitter at Nooksack306. You can follow me on Twitter at NDN, as in Indian lawyer. And you can otherwise plug in to social media pretty much anywhere. If you Google Nooksack306 or type that in as a hashtag, you will find all sorts of opportunity to support this family. And I really ask that you do. And if you could do anything to tell your congressman or woman, the White House, the federal government, your governor, to not allow this to proceed, please do that. I am asking for more calls to be made to anybody in a position of power to help stop this human rights atrocity from continuing.
Man, one last thing before I let you go is Council Member Juarez, when she was here a few weeks ago, the main discussion we talked about was missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. And she said, she was like, man, if media could just do something. And she talked about, like, back in the day, you know, the milk crates, there would be like, you know, have you seen this person? Said, if the media could just do something, even if the media could make a 60-second spot that just had the photos and the names of the missing and the found, right? And so I know you're here, you're connected to a lot of the tribes, the nations surrounding Seattle, and this is the first place that a lot of people come looking for right here. We want your support in helping to connect us with all these different nations around us, because we want to be a resource to be able to bring these missing women and girls home, or be able to bring some closure. So we're putting you on the spot here so we can make sure and do our part. Trey Holiday said yesterday that she was like 100%. Salman over there said, man, that this is something that we could probably do twice a month here. We could make a 60-second spot, and we'll produce it here, and then we could send it out to all the other tribes in the region, and social media. And we just want to do our part, but we want you to help us do our part and connect us with all the proper people we need to talk to.
I'm here for that. I saw that show. I saw you get emotional. I saw you put yourself in the shoes of an Indigenous father and imagine your daughter not coming home. I saw that. So I know that struck you, and it certainly strikes me. And I represent two sisters at Tulalip, whose sister went missing in November of 2020, and she's not home yet. And there's a $60,000 reward for any information leading to the return of Mary Johnson. And so this is a real live issue that is devastating families, many, many families, more than we can count. And getting back to that human rights dilemma, part of the reason our women and our girls are going missing from tribal lands is, imagine a place where you don't fundamentally have human rights protection, right? So these issues are related. Those become places that are havens for trafficking, havens for addiction and affliction that cause our women and our girls and our men and our boys to go missing. And so we just all need to do a better job about making sure that everybody in this country, including those living on Indigenous lands, are safe and have the promise that was supposedly made to everybody: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Because right now, Indigenous peoples do not enjoy that promise.
Well, we're committed to working with you. You know what I'm saying?
It's mutual.
Let's see what we can do. Gabe, Galanda, thank you so much for taking time to join us.
Thank you. It was my honor.
All right. We're going to take a quick break right now. When we come back, Trey Holiday is sitting down with our guy, favorite intern, probably ever. Don't tell him that. There it is. He got a handcrafted motion graphic up there. I'm talking about Ike on the mic, Ike Everard. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
In the depths of Belize, the travelers come across waters, harvesting with their hands, learning of resilience rooted deep in the lands. Culture thriving like a fire ablaze, sizzling with a pop and a chop, sharing its ways. Knowledge simmers and grinds into the hearts and minds, cutting away from the surface stories and colonial lies, boiling it down, breaking its shell as the truth pours out and gets plated collectively with love, spooned into bowls, feeding the soul. Garifuna, alive and strong at Palmetto Grove.
Yo, and ho. It's Jake from Converge Media here. You know me, I've been getting it outside in some tropical environments lately, but I'm home for the winter and wanted to pass along some tips from the Seattle Department of Transportation to help all of us in these cold weather months. When it snows, and we gotta bet it will, be a good neighbor. Clear your sidewalks near your home, business, or job site. Keep those paths wide enough so a giant like me could walk through them. If you don't have to drive, then don't. Take it from me, I'm a public transit connoisseur in this city. You can get around by bus, light rail, or streetcar all over the region. And when your feet do hit the street, make sure that you slow it down a notch. I'm telling myself this as we speak. Roads and sidewalks can still be slick. If you need more helpful hints, visit the winter weather page at www.seattle.gov/transportation/winter-weather. Stay safe, people. Chill so you can enjoy the chill.
We invite you to be our guest at Disney's Beauty and the Beast. It's a tale as old as time in a brand new production by the Fifth Avenue Theater. Return to the magic of live theater with one of the most enchanting musicals of all time. Disney's Beauty and the Beast at the Fifth, January 12th to February 6th. Tickets at fifthavenue.org.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Morning Update Show. I'm your co-host, Trey Holiday. And as Omari stated before the break, joining me right now is one of the greatest interns at Converge Media, somebody we love so much, Ike Everard. What's up, Ike?
I appreciate that intro, Trey. I'm good.
Yeah.
How about you? Yeah.
You know what? It's so good to see you back here. I know you're only back for a couple of days. How has it been just coming back? Because, you know, you went back to school after being at Converge with a ton of experience. How was that quarter for you?
It was really good. I mean, talk about coming back. First of all, the weather's been quite different than Phoenix. The snow's been nice to see all that. But it's been really cool to be back at school with all this experience from Converge and just be able to kind of apply what I learned here in such a real world environment, in such a environment that pushed me to explore different avenues of storytelling and different connections to the community. And I think that it's really pushed me back at school to bring that to the PBS newsroom and to kind of educate people a little bit and show them what I've learned here.
Yeah. I think innovation is key when we talk about media and storytelling in particular. And you came here with some amazing ideas and things that you wanted to do already. So I got to ask, man, I know you got a video. You're going to be setting it up for us to tell us a little bit about what you've been up to. Set it up for us.
Yeah. So, I've been focusing a lot on my video stuff this last semester. I've been doing a lot of shooting, a lot of editing, not a ton of on camera. So this is kind of fun to be back on the side of the camera. But I also did a lot of producing and I directed shows for Arizona PBS, did my radio stuff. So I've been kind of all over the map. I did some writing too. This video is just kind of a quick little reel of different things that I've shot, shows that I've produced. So it's like a minute long. Yeah.
Right on. Let's. Whoa, great work, my friend. And you know what? Me and you actually connected a bit because I was telling you about some of my experience out there. And the control room was like one of my favorite rooms. So I love seeing you over there in the control room. You've really been at work. We talked about some of the ways that you really wanted to infuse innovation in the PBS newsroom and storytelling. How has it all been for you in terms of their receptivity to you coming back with all of these ideas now and really being able to actualize them?
Well, it's been a mixed bag. I mean, we always talk about it's PBS. Their target audience is a little bit older, probably a little bit wider, and they're very hesitant to try new ideas and to change their formula that obviously works all around the country. But I think that the different things that have worked have been things like connecting to different communities in Arizona, a lot of Navajo Nation reporting, especially down there. And it's been cool to see, just more kind of, I think, open-mindedness from them. And probably not due to me, but just in general, when it comes to sources. And they've been doing source audits and a lot more focus on making sure that there's representation from all the communities.
You know, that's important. And we always talk about how representation matters. Clearly, we're in the Black Media Matters studio, and we understand that there needed to be a concentrated effort. But you came here and you produced and edited and shot an amazing video around Jamal Crawford's work in community. And then he tweeted it out, and it was a huge effort. I want to just ask you, I know we talked to you about it at the time, but now looking back on that experience and being able to add that to your repertoire, how was that for you to say, I have an idea and I know how I want this shot and how I want to produce this, and then for you to be able to do it right here at Converge?
Oh, I mean, that was hands down probably my favorite piece I've ever produced. You know, I grew up going to the Pro-Am. I would walk down there most weekends in the summer. It was always a thing that I looked forward to every year. So I just, you know, having have that connection, and then him empowering me to be able to do all aspects of it. You know, I had Steve's help shooting the interview, but other than that, shooting, editing, producing, I mean, to see it through from start to finish was just incredible. And to have Jamal, you know, receive it as positively as he did was just a huge honor.
You know, that I think that's one of the biggest things for any of us who are storytellers and producers. At the end of the day, we want our work to be received by the audience that we're really building it for. And I think you really were able to experience that on that piece. And now as you get ready to go back to Arizona and leave us again, I'm so glad to have you here and your energy again. What are some of the things you're really looking forward to? Because one of the things about the track you're on is it's constantly progressing, right? You're able to do a little bit more difficulty, a little bit more advanced work. What are some of the things you're really looking forward to as you think about, you know, your time going back to Arizona?
I think the biggest thing I'm looking forward to is actually my honors thesis project. I'm doing a little like 20-minute documentary about this atmosphere I've noticed in journalism school of what I call competitive collaboration, right? And you've probably seen it in the, you know, at other media networks, not here though. And that's the biggest thing is like what I've noticed there is every student is trying to get ahead, right? You have clubs, people are helping each other, but at the end of the day, you want to be the first in line for that job. You're trying to make a name for yourself. And I think that's what's so special about being here in independent media is that I haven't felt that at all at Converge, right? You know, just talking about, empowering me to do the Jamal Crawford piece pretty much on my own. I mean, that's huge. That just wouldn't happen there, right?
Yeah, for the Mariners. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. I mean, you were empowered. That was part of it. Not just Jamal Crawford, but you were writing a lot. You were involved in the sports arena, which was really a passion of yours already.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm technically a sports journalism major, and I think I've kind of moved away from that a bit because the stories tend to be pretty cyclical, you know, and I wanted to branch out into some new topics, but I always have a love for sports journalism, of course. And that was huge being here, getting to do the Mariners stuff and obviously the Pro-Am. And yeah, it was just incredible.
Well, I really am looking forward to this piece that you're creating around this kind of collaborative competitiveness. And I think you are right. There's something really specific about the collegiate environment that I think is a main driver of this idea and notion of competitiveness. And so what kind of angles are you taking on this? Because clearly you're also heavily embedded in it.
Right. Well, and I think that's part of the thing is I want to talk to people who I know, right? And who I know they're going to be open with me because I know a lot of people who are pretty critical of journalism school while they're in it. So I think it could be interesting to take a look at that. And then also the ways that it impacts the industry after school, because you go through your educational experience in this one environment. It's not just going to go away when you get in the real world, right? And so you have that. Then you look at places like this and it's just so different. And it shows everything that storytelling and media can be. And I think that it's important to, you know, take elements of that and try to bring it into a broader scale.
Well, I'm just looking forward to that. You got to make sure you share it with us over here so we can, you know, air it and make sure our audience sees it. Before I let you go, I got to give you a chance. You know, you're creating pieces. How can people stay connected with your work and support you as you do your thing?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my Twitter is at Ike on the mic with underscores in there. My Instagram is probably the best way, at Ike.Everard. So go ahead and follow me on there. Been posting a lot lately. I just got a drone, so I've been posting a lot of aerial photography and things like that. It's pretty much where I post everything. So that's yeah, that's the way to do it.
All right, on, man. Ike, so great to have you back in the Converge Media Black Media Matters studio. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, thank you. It's great to be back here.
Well, you guys, I'm so inspired by Ike, and we're going to wrap the show up. I get to bring my guy, Big O, back onto the set after this short break. Stay tuned. You're watching the Morning Update Show.
In the depths of Belize, the travelers come across the waters, harvesting with their hands, learning of resilience rooted deep in the lands. Culture thriving like a fire ablaze, sizzling with a pop and a chop, sharing its ways. Knowledge simmers and grinds into the hearts and minds, cutting away from the surface stories and colonial lies, boiling it down, breaking its shell as the truth pours out and gets plated collectively with love, spooned into bowls, feeding the soul. Garifuna, alive and strong at Palmetto Grove.
All right. See, it's supposed to come back up on Trey, but I was looking at this. I said, someone give me the camera. Wow. That's the Palmetto Grove. Palmetto Grove was great, by the way. Right. Right.
I'm so in awe.
In Hopkins over in Belize, man.
When I tell you, I mean, it was one thing to be there and knowing that we had cameras on us and we were producing stuff, but we were so involved in the stories that they were sharing with us of the strength and resilience of the Garifuna. And I am so honored to be able to work with Brady on that piece and really to pour out my own right. You know, T-Dub set the bar real high.
Yeah,
so
T-Dub
I had to make sure I came with it, man. But really, just so inspired by what we learned there.
Yeah, that one's not. It's not online yet because we're waiting for it. We got to give a little bit more description from you. But the government down there in Belize, I sent that down there to the Belize Tourism Board this morning, and all they came back was they was like, "Wow, send us the downloadable file." You know,
that's
what I'm saying?
Awesome.
Yeah, no, good stuff. I got one motion graphic here. We'll talk about on Friday. We'll put it up here real quick. Noni Urban is going to be with you on Feel Good Friday. I'm glad I get a day off. You know what I'm saying? And talking about the Kwanzaa Awards. Kwanzaa Awards are on Saturday on the 8th. So looking forward to that. And I'll let everybody know this. My hood's down, so I can't see, but I guess I'm right here, right on. I'll let everybody know this. I can't say much, but at 2:00 today, you probably want to be looking out on your Twitter machine and some of everything else. It's some real important news that's getting ready to come out today at 2:00 that has to do with the events of 2020. Can't say more than that. But yeah, be on the lookout. And I'm just hopeful that after today, people will be able to move on some things, me included as one of those people. So, and very well later on today, we might have a special relating to what's happening at 2:00, at 6:00. So just follow us across the different social media platforms, but don't want to catch everybody could get caught off guard. All I can tell you, 2:00 today, be on the lookout. Trey Holiday, looks like we're just a few minutes over time today, but it was well worth it. Learn about what's going on up there in the Nooksack lands and learn about how people can be. So, hey, you know how we always say you got to be all the other stuff to the side to be evicting people in the dead. Come on, we don't even roll like that, fam.
No, absolutely not. And this is why, my consistent message is see yourself as part of the solution. Clearly, Gabe is doing that. And just listening to the interview that he had with Omari today, I, just like Omari, got so educated. And really, this is a lot going on. So you guys, as he said, he gave you all the ways that you guys can be supportive, man. That's a way for you to be a part of the solution. Please see yourself as part of the solution. Let's help out our Nooksack family, our indigenous families out there, man.
Yeah, that's fam bam. And I always tell Councilmember Juarez that, like me, I love how I grew up in Seattle. I love how I grew up in Seattle. Mama kept me everywhere at a powwow or potlatch or day race. So, my mama, she was out there with I think it's the Macaws out Nia Bay when they was trying to enforce their treaty right for the whale. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yo, man, the treaty says they get their whale. We fit to go ride for them. They need, you know what I'm saying? And so Like I grew up not like, oh, let me learn about Native American culture. I grew up in Seattle, part and parcel of Native American culture. And so, feel some kind of way about it. And we definitely want to be able to do our part to uplift the issue of missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls. So we're going to follow up and do that part. Man, it was great. Ike Everard was here. There's so many things that Ike did. We mentioned the Mariners. He wrote a lot of stuff about the Mariners' hometown 9. Wrote articles about the in June, in the Negro League, the salute to the Negro League. And also Ike teamed up with Baseball Beyond Borders, Buki Gates, and Ebbets Field, with the throwback jerseys.
Yeah.
And it all came together and did a video called Converge Media Salute to the Negro Leagues. Yeah. On top of that, this young guy, his first day here, he'll tell you, it was a press conference like Mayor Durkin or something. I told these guys, I'm not going. You go talk to them. I told Mayor Durkin and Kamaria Hightower, I said, these young guys, they got questions for you here today. And, I think it's something here at Converge where it's like, me personally, I feel like, I don't even like doing this show. You know what I'm saying? But it's a good space when you talk about competitive, whatever, because the people, the most senior people in this company are the people who really don't even want the camera on them. You know what I'm saying? And I know for sure that the only way for us to be great is to put these young people in the best position possible as early as possible. And I told Ike day one, I said, where are we going? I said, we're going to go see the mayor. Then we're going to go see the police chief. And I said, don't worry. You're going to make a mistake, but it's all right. We're going to make mistakes full speed. We're going to move full speed. But I said, it's better for me to throw you into the fire right now at 21, 22 years old. You'll go back to college and say, yes, I sat down with the mayor of the 10th biggest city in America at 21 years old, 22 years old. That's something we could do here at Converge. We're in so many unique situations. Look at all the young people we took with us to Belize who, 7 of them never left the country before. And that's what makes us unique here at Converge. And for all my old school hip hop fans, it's like Suge Knight said on the stage out there at the Source Awards in New York. If you don't want your producer dancing all in your video, come to Death Row. It's how we feel about Converge. We're going to let these young people shine. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure. And it's something that really benefits Converge. I love how Ike really pointed out that there's a difference in terms of the way that we do business here. It's such a collaborative family effort and really uplifting everybody to be able to be at the center of the stories they want to tell. That's the beautiful thing about this Black Media Matter studio, but Converge Media being an independent media machine, it really does pave the way in a different way.
All right,
blazing trails.
Good stuff. We're going to get out of here. We'll get it wide. Yeah. Oh, it's there. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
it's
Well, thank you. Oh, man. Moving around the set. Yeah. Again, 2:00. Be looking out for that. And we'll let you know if we do something 6:00. Most likely we will. And on that note, I just want to remind everybody, go forward in your purpose. Go forward in your humanity. And until tomorrow at 11 a.m. Peace.
Lift every voice and sing till earth in heaven ring with the harmonies of liberty. Let our rejoicing rise as the listening skies. Let it resound loud as the rolling sea. Sing a song full of the faith that the dark past has taught us. Sing a song full of the hope that the present has brought us. facing the rising sun of a new day. Let us march on till victory is won. Sing it again now. The victory is won. Victory is won.